Have you ever checked your bank account and felt your entire world collapse in a single second? That's what happened to me 3 days ago. I'm Maya Barrett, and I just found out my family stole $47,000 from me, every cent I'd saved over 10 years. When I confronted them, my dad just shrugged and said, "We needed it more than you do." My brother laughed. My mom told me to stop being dramatic. They thought I was just their struggling artist daughter, someone who'd never amount to much financially. They had no idea who I really was. And when I told them they wouldn't like what happened next, they didn't believe me. Not until that knock came at the door. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. I need to know I'm not alone in this. Let me take you back to where this nightmare started. A Sunday family reunion that changed everything. Sunday dinners at my parents' house had become a monthly ritual I'd learned to endure rather than enjoy. The same faces, the same questions, the same barely concealed disappointment in their eyes when they looked at me. I sat in my usual spot at the corner of the dining table, gripping a glass of lemonade, counting the minutes until I could politely excuse myself. Around me, 20 relatives laughed and talked, but I might as well have been invisible. "Maya, sweetheart," Aunt Patricia called from across the table, her voice cutting through the chatter. "You're 32 now. When are you going to settle down? Get a real job? Buy a house?" The table went quiet. Everyone turned to look at me. "I'm focused on my career right now," I said, keeping my voice steady. Brian, my older brother, snorted into his wineglass. "Career? You draw logos for local bakeries. That's not a career, that's a hobby." Laughter rippled around the table. My face burned, but I kept my expression neutral. I'd learned that reacting only made it worse. "Maya, honey," my mom said, reaching over to pat my hand. "Your father and I just want you to be realistic. Art is wonderful, but it doesn't pay the bills. Look at Brian. He has a real job, a family, a house." "Still doing those little design projects?" Brian asked, leaning back in his chair with a smirk. "When are you going to grow up and get a real career?" My dad nodded. "Your brother's right. You need to think about your future. You can't live like a college student forever." I took a sip of lemonade to hide my expression. For 10 years, I'd been the family disappointment, the one who chose art over stability, the one who didn't understand how the real world worked. If only they knew. What my family didn't know, what I'd carefully kept hidden for 6 years, was that I hadn't just been doing freelance design work. It started innocently enough. 5 years into my freelance career, I landed a branding project for Morrison and Sterling Real Estate Group. They needed a complete visual identity overhaul, and I delivered something that exceeded their expectations. But during our meetings, I'd casually mentioned some observations about their investment portfolio structure. The CEO, David Morrison, had been impressed. "You have a sharp eye for financial patterns," he'd said. "Have you ever considered consulting work?" That conversation changed everything. Within 6 months, I'd transitioned from occasional design projects to full-time financial consulting. My art degree had been supplemented by years of self-taught financial analysis, and Morrison and Sterling recognized talent when they saw it. Now, 6 years later, I was a senior financial consultant managing portfolios worth $45 million. Last year alone, I'd earned $180,000. My family thought I scraped by on $30,000. I kept it secret for a simple reason. I'd seen what happened to people whose families knew they had money. They became ATMs. Every crisis, every bad decision, every financial emergency became their responsibility to fix. I wasn't going to be that person. So I maintained the illusion. I worked from home 3 days a week, went into the downtown office the other two, and let everyone believe I was barely making rent doing small design gigs. Some secrets aren't lies, they're survival strategies. I'd watched my brother get bailed out of bad investments twice by my parents. I'd seen how my aunt's successful daughter got hit up for loans at every family gathering. I knew exactly what would happen if they discovered the truth about my income. I just didn't realize they'd try to take it anyway. The dinner conversation shifted when Brian cleared his throat loudly, drawing everyone's attention. "So, I wanted to mention something, he said, his confident tone wavering slightly. The development project I've been working on has hit a few temporary setbacks. My mom's smile tightened. Brian, we don't need to discuss this now. What kind of setbacks? Uncle Tom asked. Brian waved his hand dismissively. Just cash flow issues, nothing serious. These things happen in real estate. I noticed Jennifer, Brian's wife, staring at her plate. Her knuckles were white around her fork. Aunt Patricia, never one to let an awkward moment pass, turned her attention back to me. Well, at least Brian has a real career to have setbacks in. Maya, dear, when are you going to stop playing artist and find a husband? Get some stability in your life? I am stable, I said quietly. Living alone in a rental apartment at 32? She shook her head. That's not stability, sweetheart. That's extended adolescence. Maya's always been the dreamer, my dad said, his tone suggesting this wasn't a compliment. She needs to be more practical. Art doesn't put food on the table. Actually, I started. Come on, Brian interrupted, his voice dripping with condescension. You make what? Maybe 2,000 a month? 3 if you're lucky? You really want to lecture us about careers? The table went silent. Everyone looked at me, waiting for my response. I should have left right then. Should have grabbed my bag, made an excuse, and walked out. But I stayed for dessert, trying to prove I could handle their judgment with grace. That was my first mistake. My second was leaving my old documents in my childhood bedroom when I'd moved out last year, documents that included my bank account information. After dinner, while everyone moved to the backyard for coffee, my dad caught my arm. Maya, can we talk? In the kitchen. Something in his tone made my stomach tighten. I followed him inside where my mom was already waiting, her face creased with worry. We need to ask you something, Dad said, closing the kitchen door. It's about Brian. What about him? Mom twisted her hands together. He's in trouble, honey. Real trouble. The development project, it failed. He owes the bank $85,000. My chest constricted. That's a lot of money. We've already mortgaged the house to help him, Dad said. But it's not enough. We're still short. I could see where this was going. How short? 20,000. Dad looked at me steadily. We know you have savings. You live alone, no kids, no major expenses. You must have money set aside. Dad, I don't have $20,000 just lying around. You've been working for 10 years, Mom said. Even with your modest income, you must have something saved. I do have savings, I said carefully. But that's for my future, for emergencies. This is an emergency, Dad said, his voice hardening. Your brother is about to lose everything. We could lose our house. Family helps family, Maya. I understand, but we raised you, Mom interrupted. Fed you, clothed you, paid for your college. Don't you think you owe us something? The words hit like a slap. I'm grateful for everything you've done, but my savings are mine. Dad's jaw tightened. We're not asking for a handout. We'll pay you back. When? Silence. I'm sorry, I said. I can't. Dad stared at me for a long moment. I'm disappointed in you, Maya. I thought we raised you better than this. Looking back, I should have known they wouldn't take no for an answer. 2 days later, I sat at my home office desk, laptop open, ready to transfer money for rent. I logged into my bank account and stared at the screen. Balance, $3,247.89. I blinked, refreshed the page. The number didn't change. My heart started pounding. 2 days ago, my balance had been $50,247. I'd checked it after the family dinner, a habit born from years of careful financial management. $47,000. Gone. My hands shook as I clicked through to my transaction history. There it was. One transfer, made yesterday at 2:47 p.m. $47,000 sent to an account I didn't recognize. I grabbed my phone and called the bank, my voice barely steady. There's been a mistake. Someone accessed my account. Let me check, Ms. Barrett. A pause. The transaction was authorized using your PIN and security question answers. Everything was verified. My blood went cold. That's impossible. I didn't make that transfer. The security protocols were all correctly answered, ma'am. If you believe this is fraud, you'll need to file a police report. I hung up and stared at my phone. Only my family knew those answers. I'd filled out my original account paperwork at my parents' house years ago, back when I was 22 and newly graduated. Those documents were still in my old bedroom closet. I'd never thought to retrieve them when I moved out. My parents had access to everything they needed: my account number, my PIN, my mother's maiden name, my first pet's name, all of it. They hadn't asked for permission, they'd just taken it. I grabbed my keys, my hands shaking so hard I could barely grip them. But anger kept me steady as I drove to my parents' house. 10 years of saving, gone in one transaction. They were about to learn exactly what they'd done. I didn't knock. I used my old key and walked straight into the living room where my parents and Brian sat watching television. Who took the money from my account? 3 heads turned. My dad's expression flickered. Guilt, then defiance. Brian looked down. My mom stood up, her hands raised in a placating gesture. Maya, sweetheart, let us explain. $47,000, I said, my voice shaking. Every cent I had saved. Who did it? We needed it, Dad said, his tone matter-of-fact. We told you Brian was in trouble. You told me you needed 20,000. You took 47. We had other debts, Brian mumbled. The bank was threatening foreclosure on Mom and Dad's house. My vision blurred with rage. So you stole from me? You accessed my account without permission? It's not stealing, Mom said quickly. We're family. Family takes care of each other. Taking care of each other means asking, not stealing. Watch your tone, Dad said sharply. We're still your parents. You're also thieves, I shot back. What you did is illegal. It's called identity theft. Brian scoffed. You're not going to do anything about it. You're too soft. Give me the money back, now. Dad shook his head. We don't have it, Maya. It's already been paid to the bank. The mortgage is current and Brian's debts are cleared. Then get it back. Take out a loan. Sell something. I don't care how, but that money is mine. You don't need it as much as we do, Mom said. You're young, single, no responsibilities. You'll earn it back. Brian has a family to support. We have a house to keep. So my life doesn't matter? My future doesn't count? Don't be dramatic, Dad said. You'll be fine. I stared at them, these people I'd known my entire life, and realized they truly didn't see what they'd done wrong. My mom moved closer, her voice taking on that soothing tone she'd used when I was a child. Honey, we had no choice. The bank was going to foreclose. Brian was about to declare bankruptcy. Can you imagine what that would do to our family's reputation? Your reputation? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You stole from me to protect your reputation? We borrowed from you, Dad corrected. There's a difference. Borrowing requires asking permission. We knew you'd say no, Brian said, finally looking at me. You've always been selfish, always thinking about yourself. I'm selfish? My voice rose. I'm the one who's been independent for 10 years. I've never asked you for money, never burdened you with my problems. But I'm selfish? You don't have children to feed, Jennifer said, appearing from the hallway. She must have been listening the whole time. You don't understand the pressure Brian's under. Can't you show some compassion? Compassion would have been asking me to help. This is theft. We raised you for 18 years, Dad said, his voice hard. Paid for your food, your clothes, your education. We spent over $200,000 on you. This is your chance to give back. I give back by being independent, by not being a burden. You give back by helping when family needs it, Mom said. That's what family means. No, I said quietly. Family means respecting boundaries. Family means asking, not taking. Brian stood up. You know what? We don't need to listen to this. We did what we had to do. If you can't understand that, that's your problem. You have 48 hours, I said, my voice steady now. 48 hours to return every cent, or I'm taking action. Dad's eyes narrowed. What kind of action? You going to sue your own parents? If I have to. The room went silent. My mom's face paled. Brian's smirk faded. You wouldn't dare, Dad said, but I heard uncertainty in his voice. I stood straighter, forcing my voice to stay calm. 48 hours, that's all I'm giving you. Return the money, or I will pursue every legal option available. Brian laughed, but it sounded forced. With what? You can't afford a lawyer. You just told us you're broke now, remember? I didn't answer. I just looked at him, letting the silence stretch. Maya, Mom said, tears forming in her eyes. You can't do this to us. What will people think? Our daughter taking us to court? You should have thought about that before you accessed my account. This is ridiculous, Dad said, standing up. You're throwing a tantrum over money. Money we needed to save this family. You didn't save the family. You stole from me to cover Brian's mistakes. They weren't mistakes, Brian snapped. They were investments that didn't pan out. It happens. And instead of dealing with the consequences, you made them my problem. Jennifer stepped forward. Maya, please, think about your niece and nephew. If Brian goes bankrupt, what happens to them? What about my future? I asked. What about my security? Doesn't that matter? You're being selfish, Dad said flatly. Family comes first. Then you should have treated me like family instead of an ATM. I picked up my bag and walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard my mother crying. 48 hours, I repeated without turning around. After that, you'll deal with the consequences. You won't do anything, Brian called after me. You don't have the guts. I walked out, letting the door close behind me. They had no idea who they were dealing with, and I wasn't going to tell them, yet. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, gripping the steering wheel, forcing myself to breathe slowly. My phone buzzed with a text from my mom. Please don't do this. We can talk. I didn't respond. Instead, I drove home and opened my laptop. 3 emails waited in my work inbox, including one from Marcus Smith, the senior attorney at Morrison and Sterling. Maya, CEO wants to confirm your availability for the Henderson contract meeting Friday. This deal is worth 8.2 million to the firm. Please confirm by EOD. I stared at the email, then at my wallet on the desk. Inside was my company ID card. Maya Barrett, Senior Financial Consultant, Morrison and Sterling Real Estate Group. The platinum cardstock caught the light. My family thought I was powerless. They thought I was just their struggling artist daughter with no resources, no connections, no way to fight back. They were so wrong. I picked up my phone and called Marcus. He answered on the second ring. Maya, good timing. Did you get my email about Henderson? I did. I'll be there Friday. But Marcus, I need to ask you something personal. It's about a legal matter. His tone shifted, became more formal. What kind of legal matter? I explained the situation in clinical terms, keeping my emotions in check. Unauthorized account access. $47,000 transferred without consent. Family members who had access to my personal information. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Maya, this is identity theft and wire fraud. These are serious criminal charges. I know. Do you want to press charges? I want them to understand there are consequences. I want my money back. We can help you with that, Marcus said. Morrison and Sterling has an excellent legal team. And Maya? You've helped us close $12 million in deals. We protect our own. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my bank balance. $3,247.89. 10 years of careful saving. Gone. The next morning, I went to the office as usual. My desk overlooked downtown, floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city spread out below. My nameplate read, Maya Barrett, Senior Financial Consultant. How many times had I walked past it, grateful my family would never see it. Maya, David Morrison, the CEO, appeared at my door. Got a minute? Of course. He sat across from my desk, his expression serious. Marcus mentioned you're dealing with a personal legal issue. Identity theft? I nodded, surprised Marcus had told him. Family? Yes. David leaned back. I'm sorry. That's a betrayal of trust. He paused. I want you to know whatever legal support you need, the firm will provide it. You're one of our top consultants. Last year alone, you brought in 3 major clients. The Henderson deal you're working on is worth $8 million to us. I appreciate that. I mean it. If you need our attorneys, they're yours. If you need documentation of your employment and income, I'll provide it personally. He stood. You've earned that support, Maya. Don't hesitate to use it. After he left, I checked my phone. No messages from my family. No calls. Nothing. That afternoon, my mom finally texted. Maya, please understand. We didn't have another choice. We need you to let this go. I typed back, you have 36 hours left. Her response came immediately. You're being unreasonable. This is family. I turned off my phone. They still didn't understand. They thought I was bluffing. They thought I'd back down like I always had. They were about to learn otherwise. That evening, my phone exploded with notifications. The family group chat, 23 members, everyone from my grandmother to my youngest cousin, was suddenly active. Aunt Patricia, Maya, I heard you're threatening to sue your parents over money? Are you serious? Uncle Tom, that's low, even for you. Cousin Sarah, family doesn't do this to each other. I scrolled through message after message. My parents had clearly told their version of the story, the version where they were desperate victims, and I was the ungrateful daughter refusing to help. Brian, she's always been the selfish one. Remember when she wouldn't lend me her car in college? Same thing. Jennifer, we have children to think about. Maya only has herself. She doesn't understand real responsibility. Aunt Patricia, your parents raised you, fed you, educated you. This is how you repay them? Cousin Mike, money isn't more important than family. I read every message, my jaw clenching tighter with each one. Not a single person asked for my side. Not one person questioned whether taking $47,000 without asking might be wrong. My grandmother, who rarely used her phone, sent a private message. Maya, dear, I don't know what's happening, but I know you. You're not cruel. Call me when you can. I screenshot every message in the group chat. If this went to court, I'd need evidence of harassment. Then I typed one response. You have 12 hours left. I muted the chat and set my phone aside. Let them talk. Let them judge. They'd been doing it for years anyway. Tomorrow was the deadline. Tomorrow they'd see exactly how serious I was. And tomorrow they'd learn the truth about who I really was. 48 hours came and went. No call, no message, no money. At 5:01 p.m., exactly 1 minute after the deadline, I called my dad. He answered on the 4th ring. Maya. The deadline passed. I know. He sighed heavily. Look, we can't get the money right now. It's already spent. You need to be reasonable. I was reasonable. I gave you 2 days. You're really going to destroy this family over money? You destroyed my trust when you stole from me. We didn't steal. Yes, you did. And now you're going to face the consequences. What are you going to do? His voice had an edge now. Sue us? With what money? You just told us you're broke. You'll see. Maya, don't do something you'll regret. People will take our side. Everyone knows we raised you, supported you. You'll look like the villain. I'll take that risk. You're bluffing. You don't have the resources to fight us. I almost laughed. Dad, you have no idea what I'm capable of. Is that a threat? It's a fact. Goodbye, Dad. I hung up and immediately called Marcus. They refused to return the money. Then we move forward. I've already drafted the documentation. We'll need to do this in person, though, face to face. I know. My grandmother's birthday is this weekend. Big family gathering at my parents' house. Marcus was quiet for a moment. You want to do this publicly? In front of the whole family? They humiliated me publicly. They took my money and made me look like the bad guy to everyone. Yes, I want this public. This is going to be very public, Maya, very uncomfortable. Good, I said. They need to understand that actions have consequences, and everyone needs to see the truth. Friday afternoon, I sat in Morrison and Sterling's main conference room with Marcus and another attorney, Catherine Reynolds, who specialized in criminal fraud cases. Papers spread across the table. Bank statements, transaction records, screenshots of the family group chat messages, my employment contract, pay stubs. Catherine reviewed everything methodically. This is clear-cut identity theft and wire fraud. If we file charges, they could face up to 10 years in prison. My stomach twisted. I don't want them in prison. I just want them to understand what they did was wrong. Then we offer them a choice, Marcus said. Full restitution, plus a formal apology, or we proceed with criminal charges. Will they agree? When they see this, Catherine gestured at the documents, when they understand the legal consequences, most people do. The conference room door opened. David Morrison entered, carrying a leather folder. Sorry to interrupt. Maya, I wanted to give you these. He handed me the folder. Your employment verification letter, your last 3 years of performance reviews, and a letter of recommendation. If you need proof of your position and income, this should cover it. I opened the folder. The letterhead was embossed, official. The letter stated my title, my salary, my role in securing major contracts. Thank you, I managed. Your family underestimated you, David said simply. I want to be there when they realize their mistake, if you'll have me. You want to come to my grandmother's birthday party? I want to support my employee, and honestly, he smiled grimly. I want to see their faces when they learn the truth. Marcus packed the documents into his briefcase. Sunday at 2 p.m.? Sunday at 2, I confirmed. I was about to burn every bridge I'd ever built with my family. But some bridges need to burn. Sunday afternoon, I pulled up to my parents' house. Cars lined both sides of the street. My grandmother's birthday party was in full swing. I sat in my car for a moment, watching through the front window. I could see people laughing, eating, celebrating. Normal family stuff. In an hour, none of this would be normal anymore. My phone buzzed. Marcus. We're 2 blocks away. Ready? I texted back, ready? I walked in through the front door. The living room was packed, over 20 people, just like I'd expected. Aunt Patricia saw me first. Oh, look who decided to show up. I thought you'd disowned the family. Several people turned to look. The conversations quieted. Maya, my mom said, coming over quickly. I'm glad you came. Can we talk privately? No need. Brian appeared from the kitchen, beer in hand. Everyone, my little sister is here, the one who wants to sue Mom and Dad over money. A few nervous laughs. Uncle Tom shook his head. Is that true? My grandmother asked, her voice cutting through the murmur. Maya? They took $47,000 from my bank account without permission, I said clearly. I asked them to return it. They refused. It was a family emergency, Dad said, standing up. We needed help. Maya refused, so we had to take action. You mean you stole from her, Grandmother said sharply. We borrowed without asking. That's stealing, Robert. Maya doesn't need that money like we do, Brian said loudly. She's single, no kids, just doing her little art projects. We have real responsibilities. I looked at my watch. Marcus and David should be arriving any minute. You really think I don't have real responsibilities? I asked quietly. We know you don't, Brian said. Come on, Maya, stop playing the victim. That's when someone knocked on the door. Before anyone could move, my dad stood up and tapped his glass with a fork. The room fell silent. Since everyone's here, I want to address something, he said. My daughter Maya has been making threats against our family, threatening to sue us over money we borrowed during a crisis. All eyes turned to me. I felt my face flush but kept my expression neutral. We raised her, Dad continued. Fed her, clothed her, paid for her education. We gave her everything. And now, when we needed help, she turned her back on us. That's not what happened, I said. You refused to help your brother, Mom added, her voice breaking. He was about to lose everything. We were about to lose our house, and you said no. Aunt Patricia nodded vigorously. Family helps family, Maya. I didn't refuse to help, I said. I refused to let you steal from me. Steal? Brian laughed. That's dramatic. We took what we needed from someone who has more than enough. How would you know what I have? Because we know you, Dad said. You live alone, no major expenses, working your little freelance jobs. You've been saving for years. You can afford to help. But you didn't ask me to help. You just took. Because we knew you'd say no. Brian's voice rose. You've always been selfish. Always thought you were better than us. I never. The doorbell rang, loud and insistent. Everyone froze. My dad frowned. Who's that? Everyone's already here. Brian went to answer it. Through the doorway, I heard a professional voice. We're looking for Robert Barrett and Brian Barrett. Brian came back, his face pale. There are lawyers at the door. Marcus Smith stepped into the living room dressed in a sharp navy suit. Behind him came Catherine Reynolds carrying a leather briefcase. And behind her, David Morrison. The room went completely silent. Good afternoon, Marcus said. I'm Marcus Smith, legal counsel for Morrison and Sterling Real Estate Group. This is Catherine Reynolds, criminal fraud specialist, and David Morrison, CEO of Morrison and Sterling. My dad stood frozen. Morrison and Sterling? That's the biggest real estate firm in the state. That's correct, David said. Aunt Patricia's eyes widened. What are you doing here? We're here regarding a case of identity theft and wire fraud, Catherine said, her voice crisp and professional. Specifically, the unauthorized transfer of $47,000 from Ms. Maya Barrett's bank account. Maya's account? Uncle Tom looked confused. But she's just a senior financial consultant, David interrupted. One of our top performers, actually. The room erupted. Everyone started talking at once. What? Senior consultant? Maya works for Morrison and Sterling? My mom grabbed the back of a chair. That's impossible. Maya does freelance design work. She does design work as a side project, David said. Her primary role is managing investment portfolios for our high-value clients. She's been with us for 6 years. Brian's beer bottle slipped from his hand, hitting the carpet with a dull thud. You're lying. I'm not. David looked at me. Ms. Barrett, would you like to explain? Every eye in the room turned to me. I took a deep breath. It's true, I said quietly. I've been a financial consultant for 6 years. I make $180,000 a year. I kept it private because I looked at my parents. Because I knew this would happen. The silence was deafening. My grandmother slowly sat down, her hand over her mouth. Aunt Patricia's face had gone completely white. That's impossible, my mom whispered. You told us you were struggling. You said you did small design projects. I never said I was struggling. You assumed that. And I do still do design work. I enjoy it. But it's not my primary income. David stepped forward, pulling a business card from his pocket and handing it to my dad. Maya Barrett, senior financial consultant. She manages portfolios worth $45 million. Last year, she helped us close the Henderson deal, $12 million in revenue for our firm. My dad stared at the card like it might bite him. But you live in a rental apartment, Jennifer said, her voice shaking. You drive an old car. You dress like someone who doesn't need to prove anything, I finished. I saved my money instead of spending it. I lived within my means. I didn't need a big house or a fancy car to feel successful. Brian sank onto the couch. You let us think you were poor. I let you think what you wanted to think. You never asked about my work. You just assumed. Marcus opened his briefcase and pulled out a stack of documents. Mr. and Mrs. Barrett. These are Ms. Barrett's bank statements showing the unauthorized transfer. These are her employment records, and these are the screenshots of family members harassing her after she requested the return of her stolen funds. Stolen? Dad's voice cracked. We didn't steal. She's our daughter. You accessed her account without permission, Catherine said. You used her personal information to authorize a transfer she didn't consent to. Under state law, that's identity theft. The wire transfer makes it federal wire fraud. Combined, you're looking at up to 10 years in prison. My mom made a small sound and sat down heavily. 10 years? She whispered. That's the maximum sentence, Marcus said. But Ms. Barrett doesn't want to press criminal charges. She wants restitution and an acknowledgement of wrongdoing. Catherine pulled out more documents, laying them on the coffee table. Mr. Robert Barrett, Mr. Brian Barrett, on August 15th, you accessed Ms. Maya Barrett's bank account using personal identification information obtained without her consent. You transferred $47,000 to an account controlled by Mr. Brian Barrett. We had to, Brian said, his voice desperate. We were going to lose everything. That doesn't make it legal, Catherine said. You committed 2 federal crimes. The fact that Ms. Barrett is family doesn't change that. But we're her parents, Mom said, tears streaming down her face. We raised her. We had the right. No, you didn't, Marcus interrupted. Maya is an adult. Her money is legally hers. You had no right to access it without explicit permission. Uncle Tom cleared his throat. Surely there's some understanding here. They were desperate. Desperation doesn't justify theft, Catherine said flatly. If someone breaks into a store because they're hungry, it's still burglary. This is different, Aunt Patricia protested. This is family. Which makes the betrayal worse. Not better, David said. Maya trusted them with information about her accounts. They exploited that trust. My dad's face had gone from red to gray. What do you want from us? Full restitution, Marcus said. $47,000 returned to Ms. Barrett's account within 30 days, plus a formal public apology acknowledging what you did was wrong. 30 days? Brian stood up. We don't have $47,000. We spent it. Then you need to find it, Catherine said. Sell assets, take out a loan, get a second job. We don't care how, but if the money isn't returned in 30 days, we file criminal charges. Jennifer started crying. We have children. What happens to them if Brian goes to prison? You should have thought of that before committing fraud, Catherine said, not unkindly, but firmly. My grandmother stood up, her voice cutting through the chaos. Robert, Brian, you stole from Maya. These people are giving you a chance to make it right. Take it. The room exploded into chaos. Everyone started talking at once. This is insane. Maya, you can't be serious. Your own parents. Aunt Patricia pushed forward. Maya, you're going to send your parents to prison? Over money? If they don't return what they stole, yes. But they're family. And family should respect each other, my grandmother said sharply. Patricia, if someone took $47,000 from you without asking, what would you do? Aunt Patricia opened her mouth, then closed it. Uncle Tom spoke up. I have to say, Robert, you were wrong. You should have asked Maya for help, not just taken her money. We knew she'd say no, Dad said weakly. That was her right, Uncle Tom's voice rose. It was her money. Cousin Sarah, who'd been silent until now, said quietly, Maya's not wrong. They did steal from her. Thank you, I managed. But did you have to bring lawyers? Sarah asked. Couldn't you have worked this out privately? I tried. They refused to return the money. They said I didn't need it as much as they did. Brian stood up, his face red. You're really going to destroy this family? Over money? You're that petty? I'm not destroying the family, I said, my voice steady. You did that when you decided my savings were yours to take. When you decided my future didn't matter because I don't have kids. When you decided being single meant I didn't deserve financial security. We didn't. Yes, you did. You've been telling me for years that my life doesn't matter as much as yours. That my career isn't real. that I'm not a real adult because I chose art over a traditional path, and then you proved it by stealing from me. My mom sobbed. We just needed help. Then you should have asked. You should have respected me enough to ask. My grandmother walked over and put her hand on my shoulder. Maya's right. You disrespected her. You treated her like a child, like someone whose choices don't matter. You owe her more than money. You owe her an apology. I stepped into the center of the room, feeling everyone's eyes on me. My hands were steady now. No more shaking, no more uncertainty. I'm going to say this once, I said clearly. You have 30 days to return $47,000 to my account. All of it. If you don't, I will file criminal charges. Maya, we can't, Dad started. I don't care how you get it. Sell something. Take out a loan. Ask Brian to liquidate assets. That's not my problem. You created the situation. You fix it. But where are we supposed to get that kind of money? Mom asked. The same place you got it before, from me. Except this time, you don't have permission. Brian stepped forward, his face twisted with anger. You really think you're going to win this? You think people will support you? I don't need people to support me. I need you to return what you stole. It wasn't stealing. Yes, it was, David Morrison said, his voice cutting through Brian's protest. And if you continue to deny that, the court will be happy to explain it to you. Marcus handed my dad a formal notice. This is your official notification. 30 days from today. If the full amount isn't returned, we file charges. No negotiation, no extensions. My dad took the paper with shaking hands. Maya, my mom pleaded, please think about what you're doing. We're your parents. We love you. If you loved me, you would have asked. If you respected me, you would have treated me like an adult with rights and boundaries. Instead, you treated me like a piggy bank. We were desperate, Jennifer said. Can't you understand that? I understand desperation, I said. What I don't understand is why my desperation doesn't matter, why my 10 years of saving doesn't matter, why my future doesn't matter. I picked up my bag and turned toward the door. Behind me, my mother was crying. I didn't look back. 30 days, I repeated. After that, this goes to court. If you're still watching, thank you. I know this is a lot, but I need you to understand. I didn't do this for revenge. I did it to protect myself. Have you ever had to choose between family and self-respect? Let me know in the comments. And if you think I did the right thing, please hit that subscribe button. Your support means everything. Now let me tell you what happened next, because this story isn't over yet. I walked to my car with Marcus, Catherine, and David following. My legs felt shaky, but I made it to the driver's side before the trembling really hit. You did well in there, David said gently. I know that wasn't easy. I feel like I just punched my parents in the face. You didn't punch them, Marcus said. You set boundaries. There's a difference. Catherine leaned against her car. They'll come around. Once the shock wears off and they realize you're serious, they'll find the money. Most people do. And if they don't? Then we file charges. But Maya, I've done this for 15 years. When people see actual legal consequences, they usually make it right. David handed me a business card with a number written on the back. That's my personal cell. If your family contacts you, if they harass you, if you need anything, call me, day or night. After they left, I sat in my car staring at my parents' house. Through the window, I could see people arguing. My mom was still crying. Aunt Patricia was gesturing wildly. My phone started buzzing. Text after text. Cousin Sarah, I'm sorry they did that to you. Uncle Tom, you're right, they were wrong. But also, Aunt Patricia, you're tearing this family apart. I turned off my phone and drove home. My apartment felt too quiet. I sat on my couch in the dark, feeling hollow. I'd just blown up my entire family, destroyed every relationship I'd spent 32 years building. But I'd also stood up for myself for the first time in my life. I didn't know if that trade-off was worth it. I wouldn't know for a long time. By Monday morning, the whole community knew. Small towns are like that. News travels faster than light. I found out when I stopped for coffee. The barista, who'd known my family for years, gave me a sympathetic look. I heard about what happened. I'm sorry. Thank you. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. My sister went through something similar. Family took advantage because they could. At work, my phone kept buzzing with messages from people I hadn't heard from in years. Old college friend. Your aunt posted on Facebook about how ungrateful you are. Just wanted to say, I know there's more to the story. My parents' neighbor. I saw the lawyers at your parents' house. Are they okay? I didn't respond to most of them. Marcus called Tuesday afternoon. Your father's friends have been calling him. Apparently word got out about the lawyers showing up. He's not handling the social pressure well. Good. Your mother had to take a leave from her volunteer position at the church. Too many questions. I felt a pang of guilt, then pushed it away. They'd made their choice. Wednesday, my grandmother called. Maya, I want you to know I support you. What they did was wrong. Thank you, Grandma. Your parents are embarrassed. The whole church congregation knows. People are asking questions they can't answer. I didn't want to humiliate them. Then they shouldn't have stolen from you, dear. Actions have consequences. They're learning that now. Thursday, Aunt Patricia left a voicemail. Maya, you've made your point. Everyone's talking about us. The family is humiliated. Please, can we move past this? I deleted it without responding. They wanted me to make it easy for them, to let them off the hook. I was done making things easy. Brian called Friday night. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Maya. His voice was rough, like he'd been crying. Please, I'm begging you. Begging me for what? To drop this. To let it go. Jennifer is threatening to leave me. She says I destroyed our family's future. You did. I made a mistake. I was desperate. The bank was going to foreclose. I panicked. So you stole from me. I borrowed. Stop calling it that. My voice rose. You stole. You used my information without permission. You took money that wasn't yours. That's theft, Brian. Just because we're related doesn't change that. I know. His voice broke. I know, okay? I fucked up. I'm sorry. Are you sorry you did it, or sorry you got caught? Silence. That's what I thought, I said. Maya, please, I'll lose everything. Jennifer's parents are talking about taking the kids. They think I'm an unfit father. Maybe you should have thought about that before you committed fraud. I didn't think of it like that. I just thought, you're my sister. You'd help if you could. So I just took what I needed. Without asking, without considering that I might need that money, without thinking about my future, my security, my life. You don't have kids, you don't understand the pressure. And you don't understand that my life matters too, that being single doesn't mean I don't deserve financial security, that not having children doesn't make me less of a person. I never said that. You didn't have to. You showed it when you decided my savings were yours to take. What do you want from me? The money, all of it, in 30 days, that's it. I don't have it. Then find it. Sell your car, sell your furniture, get a second job. I don't care. But get it. I hung up. Saturday afternoon, my parents showed up at my apartment. I saw them through the peephole and didn't open the door. Maya, please, my mom called. We just want to talk. We can talk through the door. A pause. Then my dad. This is ridiculous. Let us in. No. What do you want? We want to apologize, Mom said. We're sorry you feel hurt. Sorry I feel hurt? Or sorry you stole from me? Another pause. We're sorry for the way we handled things, Dad said carefully. We should have communicated better. You should have asked permission. We didn't think you'd say yes. So you took it anyway. That's not communication, Dad. That's theft. Can we please have this conversation face to face? Mom pleaded. This is humiliating, talking through a door. You want to talk about humiliation? You stole my life savings and then told the entire family I was being selfish. You made me the villain. Now you get to feel uncomfortable. We raised you better than this, Dad said, his voice hardening. We taught you to respect your parents. And I'm teaching you to respect boundaries. You're being cruel. No, I'm being clear. You have 23 days left. After that, I file charges. We don't have the money, Maya. Dad's voice rose. Do you understand? We spent it. It's gone. We can't just magic it back into existence. Then you'd better figure something out. Sell the boat. Sell Mom's jewelry. Remortgage the house again. I don't care. But get it. You'd really let us lose our house over this? You were willing to let me lose my future over it. Why is your house more important than my security? Silence. 23 days, I repeated. That's all you get. I heard them walk away. On day 20, Marcus called. Your brother contacted me. He's selling his truck and some other assets. I sat down slowly. He is? Listed the truck yesterday. It's worth about 15,000. He's also selling some electronics and furniture. He should get another 8,000 or so. That's only 23,000. Your parents are working on the rest. They've applied for a home equity loan. I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. So they're actually doing it. Seems like it. The reality of criminal charges tends to motivate people. 3 days later, Aunt Patricia called. Are you happy now? Your parents are going into debt. Brian's selling everything he owns. Jennifer's parents think he's a criminal. The whole family is in chaos. I didn't want chaos. I wanted my money back. You could have just forgiven them. Would you have forgiven someone who stole $47,000 from you? She didn't answer. On day 25, my dad called. We have the money, all of it. We'll transfer it tomorrow. Thank you. Don't thank me. We didn't have a choice. You always had a choice. You chose to steal. Now you're choosing to make it right. We're only doing this because you threatened us. I know. And that's the sad part. You couldn't do the right thing because it was right. You had to be forced. You've destroyed this family. No, Dad. You did that when you decided my money was yours. I'm just making you face the consequences. He hung up. The next day, I checked my bank account. Balance, 50,247.89. Everything was back. 89 pounds. Everything was, but it didn't feel like a victory. It felt hollow. I had my money, but I'd lost my family. Was it worth it? I still didn't know. Marcus called to confirm. The transfer went through. All 47,000 is back in your account. I see it. How do you feel? I don't know. Empty, I guess. That's normal. Justice doesn't always feel satisfying. I stared at my bank balance. 10 years of saving gone and returned. But something had changed. The money was just money now. It didn't represent security anymore. It represented loss. My phone rang. My dad. We transferred the money, he said without preamble. It's done. Thank you. So that's it? We're square? The money is returned. But Dad, I'm still waiting for an apology. We gave you the money. What more do you want? I want you to understand what you did was wrong. Not because you got caught, not because I forced you, but because it was wrong. We did what we had to do. No, you did what was easiest. You took from me because you thought I couldn't fight back. We thought you'd understand. Family helps family. Family respects family. Family asks before taking. Family doesn't treat each other like ATMs. He was quiet for a long moment. I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to say you're sorry, that you understand you violated my trust, that you see me as a person with rights and boundaries, not just as your daughter who owes you. He trailed off. I need to go. He hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, realizing something. The money was back, but nothing else had changed. They still didn't understand. They still thought they were the victims. Maybe they never would. But at least I'd stood up for myself. At least I'd set boundaries. At least I'd proven I wasn't powerless. That had to count for something. A week after the money was returned, I received a letter in the mail. The return address was my grandmother's. I opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten note on her cream stationery. Dearest Maya, I am so proud of you. I know that wasn't easy. I know you're probably feeling guilty, questioning whether you did the right thing. Let me tell you something I've never told anyone. 40 years ago, my brother took my inheritance. My parents had left me $20,000, a fortune back then. My brother convinced them before they died to put it in a joint account for safekeeping. After they passed, he took it all. Said he needed it more than me. Said I'd get married and my husband would provide for me. I never fought him. I was too afraid of what the family would think, too afraid of causing drama. I let him take it, and I regretted it for the rest of my life. Not because of the money, but because I taught him that my boundaries didn't matter, that he could take from me without consequences. You did what I couldn't. You stood up for yourself, you set boundaries, you demanded respect. That takes courage I never had. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. Love without respect isn't really love. Come have tea with me this week. With love and admiration, Grandma. I read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down my face. I wasn't alone. Someone understood. I called her immediately. Grandma, I got your letter. I meant every word, dear. When can you come over? Tomorrow? Perfect. I'll make those cookies you like. When I arrived the next day, she hugged me tight. You're stronger than I ever was, she whispered. Don't let them break you. 2 months after the money was returned, my mom texted, Can we meet? Just you and me? I stared at the message for a full minute before responding. Okay, coffee shop on Main Street, tomorrow at 2. She was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth. She looked older, tired, new lines around her eyes. Hi, Mom. Maya. She twisted her napkin. Thank you for meeting me. I sat down across from her, ordering coffee from the waitress who appeared. I want to apologize, Mom said. Really apologize. Not because you forced us to return the money, but because what we did was wrong. I waited. I've been thinking a lot these past weeks about how we treated you, how we've always treated you. She looked up, her eyes wet. We dismissed you. We acted like your life didn't matter as much as Brian's because you don't have children. Because you chose art instead of a traditional career. Yes, you did. I didn't realize how much we'd hurt you. How much we'd disrespected you. Until I saw you standing there with those lawyers, and I realized we'd been underestimating you for years. I didn't keep my job secret to hurt you. I did it to protect myself. I know, and that breaks my heart, that you felt you had to hide your success from us, that you couldn't trust us with the truth. She wiped her eyes. We failed you, Maya. As parents, we failed you. Yes, you did. Can you forgive us? Eventually, maybe. But Mom, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean things go back to how they were. You violated my trust. That takes time to rebuild. I understand. I don't want to lose you. Then you need to start seeing me, really seeing me, not as your disappointing daughter, but as an adult with her own life and boundaries. I'll try. I promise I'll try. 3 months after everything exploded, Brian called. Can we meet? I need to talk to you. We met at the park near our childhood home. He sat on a bench, looking at the playground where we used to play. I'm sorry, he said when I sat down. Really sorry. Not because I got caught. Not because I had to pay you back. But because what I did was wrong. Why was it wrong? He looked at me, surprised. What? Tell me why it was wrong. I need to know you understand. He was quiet for a moment. Because I took something that wasn't mine. Because I violated your trust. Because I treated you like you didn't matter. He paused. Because I was jealous. Jealous? You were always the smart one, the talented one, the one who could do anything. And I was just average. So I told myself my life was more important because I had a family, because I had real responsibilities. It made me feel better about being less successful than you. I never competed with you. I know. That made it worse. You were just living your life, being happy, and I resented you for it. He rubbed his face. I'm in therapy now, Jennifer insisted, and I'm starting to see how toxic my thinking was. I'm glad you're getting help. Are we? Can we ever be okay again? I don't know, Brian. You didn't just steal money, you stole my sense of safety, my trust. That's not something you can just pay back. I know, but I want to try. I want to be a better brother, a better person. Then start by respecting my boundaries. Start by seeing me as an equal, not as someone who exists to help you. I will, I promise. I didn't know if I believed him, but it was a start. I want to pause here and ask you something. Do you think I was too harsh? Or do you think I did what I had to do? The comments have been split, and I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? How did it go? Drop your story below. I read every comment. And if you're finding value in this, please share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Now, let me tell you how this all ends. 6 months after that terrible Sunday, my grandmother invited us all to her house. Just immediate family, my parents, Brian, Jennifer, and me. I almost didn't go, but Grandma called personally. Please, Maya. We need to start healing, and healing requires everyone being in the same room. The atmosphere was tense when I arrived. Everyone sat in Grandma's living room, avoiding eye contact. Brian and Jennifer on one couch, my parents on another. I took the armchair by the window. Grandma sat in her usual rocking chair and looked at each of us. We've had 6 months to think about what happened. 6 months to reflect. I asked you here because this family is broken, and broken things need mending. Grandma, Dad started. Hush, Robert. I'm talking. She turned to him. You and Linda made a terrible mistake. You violated your daughter's trust. You treated her like a resource instead of a person. Do you understand that now? Dad's jaw worked. Finally, he nodded. Yes, I understand. Say it to Maya. He turned to me, his eyes red. Maya, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I shouldn't have taken your money. I shouldn't have dismissed your life and your career. I should have respected you as an adult with your own rights and boundaries. His voice cracked. I'm proud of you, of everything you've accomplished, and I'm sorry I never told you that before. Mom was crying. I'm sorry too. I'm sorry we made you feel like you had to hide your success from us. I'm sorry we treated you like you didn't matter. Brian cleared his throat. I'm sorry I took advantage of you. I'm sorry I was jealous and petty. You deserved better from me. Jennifer added quietly. We're grateful you didn't press charges. We know you could have. I felt tears on my own cheeks. I didn't want to hurt you. I just wanted you to see me. We see you now, Dad said. And we're sorry it took this to make us look. I took a deep breath. If we're going to move forward, we need ground rules, clear boundaries that everyone respects. What kind of boundaries? Mom asked. First, my finances are private. No one asks about my income, my savings, or my spending. If I want to share that information, I will. But it's not up for family discussion. Everyone nodded. Second, if anyone needs financial help, they ask me directly. They don't assume, they don't guilt trip. They ask, and they respect my answer, whether it's yes or no. That's fair, Brian said quietly. Third, no more comparing my life to others. No more comments about me being single or not having kids or choosing a non-traditional career path. My choices are mine. You don't have to understand them, but you do have to respect them. We can do that, Mom said. Fourth, and this is the most important one, if anyone violates these boundaries, I will leave. I won't argue. I won't negotiate. I'll just go, and I won't come back until I receive a genuine apology and see actual changed behavior. Dad shifted uncomfortably. That seems harsh. It's self-preservation. I love you all, but I won't let love be an excuse for disrespect again. Grandma smiled. Those are reasonable boundaries, Maya. And if anyone in this family can't respect them, they're the problem, not you. We'll respect them, Mom said. I promise. Brian nodded. We will. One more thing, I said. I want us to be honest with each other, really honest. If you're struggling, tell me. If you're worried about money, tell me. Don't hide it until it becomes a crisis. And I'll do the same. I'll share more about my life, but that only works if we trust each other. We want that, Dad said. We want to know you, the real you, not the version we created in our heads. Then let's start over. But this time, with respect. We sat in silence for a moment. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't perfect. But it was honest. And that was a beginning. A year after everything fell apart, David Morrison called me into his office. Maya, sit down, I have news. I sat, nervous. His expression was serious. We're making you a partner. I stared at him. What? Partner. You've brought in $28 million in the past year alone. You're one of the most respected consultants in the state. You've earned this. I don't know what to say. Say yes. The partnership comes with a significant raise. $250,000 base salary plus profit sharing. You'll have your own team, your own office on the executive floor. Yes, absolutely yes. He smiled. Good. We're announcing it Friday at the company dinner. You can bring guests if you'd like. That evening I called my parents. I have some news. Good news. What is it? Mom asked. I'm being made partner at Morrison and Sterling. They're announcing it Friday at a company dinner. Would you like to come? Silence. Then Mom's voice, thick with emotion. We'd love to. Friday night, my parents arrived at the hotel ballroom in their best clothes. They looked nervous, out of place among the executives and high-value clients. When David announced my promotion, the room applauded. My parents stood, clapping harder than anyone. Afterward, a client approached my dad. You must be Maya's father. You should be incredibly proud. She's brilliant. We're lucky to have her. Dad's eyes were wet. I am proud. Very proud. Later, as we walked to the parking lot, Dad stopped me. Maya, I need to say something. I'm sorry I didn't see your success before. I'm sorry I didn't believe in you. You were always remarkable. I just couldn't see it. Thank you, Dad. That means everything. I sat in my new office on the executive floor, looking out over the city. My nameplate on the door read, Maya Barrett, partner. 18 months had passed since that terrible Sunday when everything exploded. So much had changed. My bank account was healthier than ever, not just because of my salary, but because I'd learned to value my worth. My relationship with my family was different now. Not perfect, but honest. They asked before assuming. They respected my boundaries. They saw me. I still did design work sometimes, not because I needed the money, but because I loved it. That part of me hadn't changed. I was still the girl who loved art, who found joy in creating beautiful things. But now I was also the woman who knew her value, who set boundaries, who refused to be diminished. My phone buzzed. A text from Brian. Hey, got a new job. Want to celebrate? Dinner this weekend? My treat. And I mean actually my treat, not asking you to pay. I smiled. Small steps. Mom had sent photos from her garden that morning. Dad had forwarded an article about financial planning, adding, Thought you might find this interesting. Not that you need advice. You're the expert. They were trying. Really trying. I thought about that day when I'd discovered my money was gone, the rage, The betrayal, the fear. I thought about standing in my parents' living room with lawyers behind me, watching my family's faces as they learned the truth. Had it been worth it? The pain, the conflict, the months of estrangement? Yes, because I'd learned something crucial. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. Protecting yourself isn't cruel. And sometimes, the people who love you need to be taught how to respect you. I'd lost my family for a while, but I'd found myself. And eventually, I'd found them again, this time on equal ground. Sunday dinner at my parents' house looked different now. The same faces, the same dining room, but everything had changed. Maya, how's the Henderson project going? Dad asked, genuinely interested. Good. We close next week. 8.5 million. That's incredible, Mom said, smiling. Brian raised his glass. To my sister, the financial genius. We toasted. Jennifer asked about my design work. Aunt Patricia, who'd come around eventually, asked if I was dating anyone, then quickly added, but only if you want to share, no pressure. After dinner, as I was leaving, Dad walked me to my car. Maya, I want you to know something. I'm proud of you. Not because of your job or your success, but because you stood up for yourself. You taught us something we needed to learn. What's that? That respect isn't automatic. It's earned, and we hadn't been earning yours. He hugged me, and I hugged him back. Driving home, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. My family wasn't perfect. We had scars. But we also had something new: honesty, respect, and boundaries. I'd fought for those boundaries, and I'd won, not by destroying them, but by refusing to be destroyed. Thank you for staying with me through this entire story. It wasn't easy to share, but I hope it helps someone out there who's struggling with similar boundaries. If this resonated with you, please subscribe and share your story in the comments. Have you ever had to choose between family and self-respect? What did you do? I'd love to hear from you. Remember, setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next video.